DJ Dewey Rock on the track.
Welcome to eMerge Podcast 360. I'm your host, Maserati. We want to thank you for tuning in. No matter where you are in this metaverse world, we're going to continue to bring you the best quality content and formula that we know how. We want to thank you for tuning in. This is being brought to you by Involved Social and Civic Club and Burchell Family Insurance Agency. We have a great show. We thank you for stopping through for this Pioneer Wednesday. And boy, do we have a great guest for you guys tonight. We want to thank you for all the likes, shares, and subscriptions on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Our guest for tonight, we're going to the desk of the city of Bastrop, where we will be visiting with the city official and chief in charge. She got her bachelor's degree at the University of Louisiana, Monroe, with a concentration in economics and risk management. Her public services include presently serving as the mayor of the city of Bastrop. She was the first black female mayor of the city of Bastrop in 2009 and 2013. She aided in the critical recovery of the city of Bastrop after the closing of the Bastrop paper mill. She brought the city back to an A credit rating. She served 5 years on the board of commissioners for the Morehouse General Hospital, served 2 years as Bastrop City Council, served on the board of directors for the ARC, or Morehouse, Louisiana Association of Educators of Federally Funded Schools. Present board of directors for the Northeast Economic Alliance. In her career, she's a certified notary with a lifetime commission, certified parent trainer by Fathers Flanagan, Boys Home, Town of Nebraska, specialized training in fundamental of professional law and personal law, retired business resource coordinator with Ouachita Parish School System, the author of 3 public relations videos, including one for the State Department of Education of Homelessness in Louisiana, the author of a professional public on workforce readiness, and she's a professional grant writer, licensed independent business advisor and consultant. She's married to Mr. Jerry Olive, where they have 3 children, Chelsea, Jessica, and Trevelyan, 1 son, Jerry, and 1 daughter-in-law, Mona, and 3 grandsons. She is the daughter of the late Mr. and Mrs. Lamar Alford. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you your mayor, Miss Betty-Alford Olive. Mayor Olive, how you doing today, ma'am?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, we're so honored to have you on. You're a true pioneer for all people, but especially for young black women, being the first female and black female mayor of the city of Bastrop. Kind of tell us how it was growing up for you in big old Morehouse Parish.
Oh, how it was for me growing up. I began with a humble beginning from a family with strong values that they instilled in me: integrity, love for your fellow man, love for your family, love for your community, and love for your country. I went to a little country school called Johnson Elementary School, and I have a sketch of it in my study here in my home, and I look at it and I have such fond memories of such a humble beginning. So it's great growing up in Morehouse Parish. I love my community, always will.
Yes, ma'am. You know, growing up, being a country girl as you were, what are some of the differences you see from then to now with how we raise our children and how life in the community is today?
I believe that when you have less, you tend to appreciate what you get. And when we do better, sometimes it's taken for granted when we give and the struggle is not there to achieve as much as we would like to. And I believe that we need to have more appreciation, because the struggle was real in growing up as a little country girl, but I had a happy life.
Right.
And
right.
I appreciate everything that my parents were able to do for me, that my family was able to do for me. So I think at this stage of the game, some things are taken for granted.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Most definitely. I always say about, especially about our community, city of Bastrop, and probably Morehouse alike, we the worst type of people. Sometimes we are poor and spoiled. You know, and that's just the fact of it. But we had a great upbringing. Things have kind of turned for the left here in the latter days. But Mayor Ollie, we want to get into some strategic questions and ask you and get into the desk and the everyday life of the mayor. We want to ask you, well, who are some of the most influential people for Mayor Olive that inspired you coming up?
Well, first and foremost, my parents, my siblings, because I am the youngest one in my family, and I have a favorite fifth grade teacher, the late Mrs. Blakely. She lived in our neighborhood, so to have a teacher living in your neighborhood made a lot of difference. Somebody's house you could walk to and play in the yard. But I have to give credit to the former Mayor Clarence Hawkins, because I served on the city council while he was mayor. And I always appreciated his style and grace and his elegance, and I learned a lot from him. He trusted me a lot with a lot of things and a lot of information. And I will always appreciate that. And I appreciate it even more as a sitting mayor. He's a personal friend of mine. And so he had a great influence on my life, along with all the other people that I named.
Yes, ma'am. And this being your second term of being mayor, you've accomplished a lot through your professional career and political. But we want to know, what is your vision and goal for the city, and what has been your biggest challenge thus far?
My vision, I ran on a theme, let's make Bastrop better, because it's a building of what your predecessor left. You build on what you have. And to be more specific with you, I want to see the crime rate lower. I want to see economic development more, because when you raise the standard with economic development, you move people away from the criminal activity. So that is paramount, especially right now. But growing our community and growing from within is very important. We can't always sit and wait on federal dollars. Of course, I work hard as a grant writer to pursue every dollar that I can, but we've got to do it from within. And we have to appreciate our local merchants.
Yes, ma'am.
That
Yes, ma'am.
provide goods and services, and we turn our own dollars around. So, and then I spent a lot of time, as much time, I'll put it that way, for the young children, because I want to lead by example, that they will grow up and want to be like me. In fact, I was at a school program just this week, Lights Out, and the children are so innocent. They love you, they adore you, and I want to live a life and leave a legacy for them to build on as well.
Yes, ma'am. And that's something that we always talking about amongst ourselves, about that generational wealth. But we know, Miss Olive, how is it that being in a position, and how do you handle that, being in a position where most of your decisions upset somebody? How do you handle that?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that question, because on any given day, you're going to have 50% of the people happy, and you're going to have 50% of the people angry. And there's that old saying, please all and you please none. There's a lot of virtue in that. But my guiding force, when you raise your hand and say, I do solemnly swear, and as the chief executive of this community, I held my hand and I took an oath of office. I don't have just a credit card to do whatever I want, and I don't make the laws, but I am obligated to enforce the law, to live by the law, and the law applies to everybody. Whether a person agrees with me or not, I couldn't tell the chief of police, well, don't go to that person's house because that person doesn't like me. It's far bigger than that. You have to have a love for what you do, a love for the people, and look at it in terms of justice for all. Because just to go a little biblical, the Lord lets the rain shine, the sun shine, and the rain on the just and unjust. And basically, you go back to your spiritual values, which is where basically all of our laws emerge from. You live up to a standard. You never compromise the standard.
Right.
Sometimes you relax the demand, but you have a standard you have to keep.
Yes, ma'am. And being the younger sister of Miss Sellers, and knowing and finding out all the things she has done, and I'm looking at the pattern of how you guys were raised, and kind of share with us about having to live up to the standard of your big sister and what she did, Miss Betty.
I somehow felt that question was going to come up because she still refers to me as her little sister when she introduces me.
And she told me that too.
Then she, well, my big sister went to college, and my great aunt was a great influence in our life. Our great aunt was more like a grandmother because our grandmother was deceased on one side of the family. And she wanted so much for us to have a better life than what she had, along with my mother. So she gave us, or they gave us, their best. And my sister, seeing her, I was so proud of her. And I tease her sometimes now. My first watch, my sister gave it to me, and it had a black face with gold numbers on it. And to this day, I have a watch because that reminds me of her gift to me. My sister was and is an achiever, and she was not one to throw in the towel. She had a lot of determination. I have so much appreciation and respect for her. And of course, when you are in a high profile position, you take the pot shots and you go on. And I looked at her with the integrity that she exemplified when she was superintendent, and had 50% of the people were happy with her, 50% of the people were not on any given day. And it flip-flops. That other 50% that may be mad one day may love you the next day. But she took it all in stride and with integrity. And that's something that was instilled in us. And for her retirement, I gave her a picture that she had never seen of our mother, just a snapshot I had when we were getting ready to go to church one morning. And I had her on one side and myself on the other side and my mother in the middle. And I said, we chose the road less traveled, and it made all the difference.
Wow. Yes, ma'am. And as I said, you talk about the standard, and the family itself was very successful. And I was just wondering, being the youngest of all the siblings, was it difficult to try to live up to that standard? But we see that you made it through on the other side. and that's
I like the way you say it there.
Yes, ma'am. And that's the beautiful thing about it, regardless of how people feel about you as a mayor. You're the mayor and Miss Olive that I know growing up as a child are two different people. Like you say, you're strict when it comes to your business. You're abiding by the law. And then on the other side, if people really know you, you're sweet, you're warming, and you're loving. But Mayor,
thank you.
When we come back, we're gonna take an intermission, and we want to get into the meat and potatoes of this thing about your vision, some of the agile methods and moves you're making to make Bastrop a better place when we return after this intermission. We'll be right back with the baby sister of the first female head coach in Louisiana and the first female black mayor of the city of Bastrop, Mayor Betty-Alford Olive, when we return after this intermission. Welcome back. Welcome back. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Stepping Stones LLC of Jonesboro, Louisiana, and Chopping Wood 24/8, Coach K, Kenny Gaines, and shout out to Roger Green with the Let's Talk About It podcast, one of our great supporters. We're still here with our current mayor, Miss Betty-Alford Olive. Miss Olive, before we left for intermission, you were sharing your legacy of your standards and growing up and the things that you witness coming up and the virtueness that you had from your big sister. But let's get into the city of Bastrop business and some of the things that you're doing to actually make the city a better place as you advertised in your campaign. But one thing that the people want to know, Miss Olive, how and what are some of the agile attempts that you made in order to bring better job security to the city, along with your reassessment from your first term?
Okay. I work with local people. We have an economic person that does all of the footwork in terms of the layout of the land, where you can put something. You can't just go and put something somewhere just because you think it'll work there. And I'm working particularly on the west side of town. And that historically has been the poorest part of town, where you have more poverty on the west side. And then as you move towards the east side of town, you have more of your businesses. In fact, the dividing line is right there at the corner where Ornette's Jewelry, when you cross that intersection there, or that red light, you're now entering to the west side of town. And I'm seeing development coming up over there. And because of that, I'm driven. We have improved the Dotson Park gym. We painted it inside and out. The Dotson Park gym means a lot to the community. It means a lot to the children. And I started seeing, especially after some of the painful things that we endured with our young people, our ministers started to come back. So we're working on improving the west side of town so that all corridors will look the same, whether you're coming in from north, south, east, or west. I work with Louisiana Economic Development. When possible, there's a certain criteria you have to have in order to access what they are able to do with a business in terms of the number of people that will be employed. Whenever there's an interest expressed, I go above and beyond the call of duty to work with those developers to bring them here. In fact, we have two waiting in the corridors, and I work with the Foster Campbell, because it involves certain things with his office. And Congress Lady Julia Letlow has pledged her support to help us in some areas. And I talked with her about the crime that we are experiencing here, but we're not exempt from what's happening all over the country. So sometimes people tend to think that it's happening just here in Bastrop, but that is not true. We are not able to get money for grants to pay officers because we have to sustain our own officers. We have to have our own revenue stream for that. But I am petitioning, and I don't mean that in a negative way, help us with recruiting officers if there's some type of incentive package so that we can recruit them, because we're in competition with other areas that have bigger revenue streams. So we're going to have to be creative in that respect. Keeping our number one fire rating. Businesses that come here want to know that they're going to be safe, and that if there's a disaster or a fire, that we got a strong fire department that's going to be able to get to them within 7 minutes or less. The educational system. I work with every agency. My doors are open because it's going to take all of us pulling in the same direction to accomplish things. Having a strong educational system, which that is on another political subdivision, but we have to work in harmony. I have a good relationship with the police jury, President Terry Matthews. We coordinate together and we talk about what we want to do and how we want our city to be. and we have to work with our upper level officials to get some things done. But as long as we are working as a united front, not bashing our city, and I keep my Facebook fresh. But and by the way, let me throw this in: the city of Bastrop has an official page. Follow us on Facebook, City of Bastrop Official, and I keep the positive out there because we have a lot of positive things going on. Maintaining a good credit rating with our budget. I operate within our budget because sometimes when you get grants, then you have to have a match. And if your budget is so tight, then you're out of the ballpark if you are unable to match. If you're going to get a $250,000 grant and it requires a 10% match, and you're so strapped that you can't provide that, then it's a wasted effort to even to apply for it. So managing the city's finances, making sure that we have a good, strong fire department, and we do, and I'm very proud of that #1 rating, which happened under the Cotton administration, and having a good, strong police department, which we're working on that. And I do appreciate that Sheriff Tubbs and I are coordinating and working together to make our city as safe as possible.
Yes, ma'am.
Making our city, the appearance of it, that's very important too. Cleaning up the dilapidated houses and keeping the neighborhoods looking good and inviting.
Yes, ma'am. Those are the exact things that we want to address, and we want to know how hard is it to clean up these dilapidated houses? Who's responsible for this? The homeowner? Do they have a time frame? Is the taxes? What is the process to get that done? In case people don't have the money, but they want it done.
Well, and again, we go back to those laws that you can't use city funds to go on private property to do things. But we do have a code enforcement officer that goes around, and we have our people who live in the neighborhood who do not want their property devalued because of a dilapidated house. When they come to us, then we go out, or the code enforcement goes out, they take a look at it, and there's a process. If we clean it up, then we have to put it on the tax bill. But then if you have absentee owners, heirs in California, Arizona, wherever, who do not feel the pain that we are feeling, and then the adjudication process, it goes to the parish first before it goes to us sometimes, and putting money into bad money, so to speak, what you put into it to clean it up and put on the tax roll, the property may not be of the same value of what you spent taxpayers' dollars for, even if you do it with the understanding, okay, we are going to get this money back when that house is sold. So it's a process, but it's a painful process that we just have to pick our battles on.
Right, exactly. And you said some key about picking your paws and picking your battles. What is the main thing right now, before we get into the next question, that you want to attack right now?
I think that the main thing right now is what we are experiencing in terms of crime deterrent. So we are looking at opportunities, how we can improve that, because we don't want our community marked by the activities that have happened that have been so painful to all of us.
Right.
So that is a priority right now, along with the economic development.
Right. You know, and everything has to be up on precept, line up on line, for everything to line up and flourish the way it should. But, you know, looking at the crime, and now that we have to have the sheriff department to come in and aid us on different shifts, however we're doing that, what is the procedure, acts, or strategy we're taking to help our police officers from their mental aspect of it? You know, because you know how things is, officers are agitated, everybody's on edge. What are we doing personally to aid our officers with their stressful job?
Okay, very good question. First and foremost, we had an aging police department. And when I say that, I'm talking about people who were able to retire. And that was coming. That was one of the inevitable things that was going to happen. And we were unable to recruit fast enough to keep up with those who were retiring out of the system when they had reached the age. So that put us down in numbers. And when you think about the health and welfare of an officer carrying a gun, you don't want to overwork them. Matter of fact, the labor laws dictate that you don't overwork a person because they become impaired, their ability to respond adequately when they don't have the sufficient rest. So having our numbers down and knowing we need good, healthy officers, we had to engage the sheriff department, which the sheriff department always coordinated with us, but we didn't want our officers working over a certain number of hours or being so exhausted that they just could not fulfill their jobs. I'm proud of the work that they do. I'm proud of Bastrop Police Department, but it takes time to recruit because we are civil service and our charter dictates that we must comply with civil service rules and regulations. Unlike the sheriff department, our people have to pass a civil service exam. They have to pass a psychological test. They have to go to the academy and all these different training. It may take anywhere from for months, up to 9 months, maybe even a year to get a person ready for that. So we are actively pursuing officers and recruiting, and I hope whoever's listening to this show will hear us and take an interest in becoming an officer.
Right. And you know better, Miss Olive, no one really understands what goes on in the official office. And
That's true.
And you're getting us insight because we all have our opinion, and that's our first right in the first law of man. It's to judge, and people say you shouldn't judge, but if you don't judge, how can you judge good character if you don't know how to judge? And
right.
in regardless of how people feel about it, I know that your job is difficult trying to help a downtrodden community. And we're going to take another intermission, and we come back. We want to mix your professional career and your political career, and we want to get some emphasis on about this school system and what you know professionally and what needs to be done in order for us to grow as a community. We'll be right back with the first black female mayor of the city of Bastrop, our own Miss Betty-Alford Olive, when we return after this intermission.
Immerse 360 Podcasts focuses on uplifting rural and urban areas in dire conditions with no solutions by shedding light on pioneers, athletes, and political figures who have made an impression on Northeast Louisiana and surrounding areas. Immerse understands the social and civic needs to love, learn, live, and laugh. So, tap in every Sunday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. on all social networks and platforms. Always remember, Immerse 360.
Welcome back to this portion of the show. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Northeast Louisiana Counseling Agency and Involved Social and Civic Club. We're still here with the first female and black female mayor of the city of Bastrop, Miss Betty-Alford Olive is still with us tonight. We want to thank you for tuning in no matter where you are for this Pioneer Wednesday. Miss Olive, we want to get into another bowl of this meat and potatoes with this city of Bastrop. Now, explain to the people, being an ex-educator, grant writer, all of the things that you accomplished from a social standpoint, educational standpoint, with Morehouse and Washita Parish, now being a political official. What is the importance of the letter grade in public schools as it relates to luring quality jobs to our community?
Oh, it is extremely important because when companies locate, they are going to look at your workforce and look at your available workforce that's ready to hit the ground running. And the fortunate aspect of it is Delta Community College is active and well, and looking at plans of building a campus here. That's going to be very vital to our community. And right now, I'm working with Delta Community College in terms of training with soft skills, people who work in certain areas who have to directly deal with the public. When people spend their money, they want to know that they're getting good customer service. So they've committed that they will work with us in that area. Heavy equipment operating, they're working with that. And also the healthcare. If we take a look at Bastrop Morehouse Parish, we are an aging community, aging population. And as I see the health industry on the rise here with the new healthcare facility that's coming up, and by the way, we have a business I'm not at liberty to disclose right now that's going to build at that old bank site that's going to provide some jobs. So we have to work together in harmony to support each other, not tear each other down, and find something positive every single day about our community. We are the best marketers for our own community. If we're bashing Bastrop, what are the outside people going to do?
Well,
they're going to look somewhere else.
Well, you're right. And Mayor Olive and I 100% agree with you. Like I said earlier, people have their opinions, and that's yes. Right. But the thing I don't like about Bastronians are the ones we call distant lovers. That serious, distant lovers. They're way out. And I guess Facebook gives them an opportunity to be heard. But when you reach out to them for ideas, donations, or just their help, come home and just stand around, it's a no-show. Or if something came up, or, I'm not never coming, I wouldn't put a dime. Well, what I don't like, don't speak on it. And that's the thing. I don't mind anyone speaking their opinion if they have their hands in this mud. But these distant lovers, I'm here to tell you, you don't worry about the distant lovers. Now, the people that are active in the community, doing their thing, you have to hear them out, whether we like it or not. But, Mayor Olive, this is the thing that I want to know about you.
Okay.
What is the most misunderstood thing about you that people really don't know, Betty-Alford Olive?
Well, that is a very, very tough question, and let me think on how I'm going to approach that. I think because I wear different hats, the hat that I wear as mayor, I have to abide by the law. And sometimes people want things that would violate the law or get the mayor in trouble. Not Betty, but get the mayor. And I have to uphold that standard, and I can't just do things just because another person is demanding that. Well, then Betty, the person, those who know me know that I am a loving and caring person, which was the catalyst that drove me to becoming a political person. I care about people. My career with the school system and grant writing and personnel and issues I had to deal with. It's no different with issues you have to deal with as mayor. You have employees that you care about. You want to help them succeed and make sure that they have all the tools they need to work with. And same thing with government. You make sure that they have everything as best as you can provide. Right now, with the city, we are replacing a lot of worn-out equipment. Can't expect our employees to be out there mowing and then some part fly off and hit somebody else. You have to always think about the risk that you put your employees in when they don't have the adequate tools to work with. Somebody else may look and say, well, they bought that big limb loader. Why in the world did they buy that limb loader? Well, think about that house over there, or that something on that right of way, which is where we really, really are responsible for, and we need to haul something away. Think about when we spend money to help our employees do a better job. That may be something that's understood or misunderstood, and you have to walk a mile in another person's shoes to really understand, or to really, well, maybe that wasn't the best choice of words to understand, but to see their profession through that prism. If I'm a person still, when I leave this Bastrop City Hall, I'm still a wife, a mom, a sister, cousin, an aunt. But when I lay my head down at night, I'm still the one as the chief law enforcer carrying the responsibility to make sure all laws and ordinances are carried out. Then I get that phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, Mayor Olive, there's been a homicide, because the staff knows to tell me what's going on. I don't ever want to be blindsided. I care about this community. I care about everybody in the community. And one of the things in growing up and in my career, as long as people know that you care, they don't care what you know, but as long as they know that you do care about your community, I have to be concerned with the budget, staying within the guidelines of the budget. Somebody else may not understand, well, she can't spend money over here, or you got money in this category, you can't put it over there. You've got to stay within your own local budget act. That's another hat that you wear. Then trying to help your employees maintain morale. That's the soft side of it. And when they see that you care about them and you are carrying out your duty because you have a standard to abide by. To be honest with you, I think everything in my life has played a part in my ability to be able to execute the duties that are before me in this present moment.
Exactly.
Structure in an organization, you just can't have things going haywire. You have to have structure, and there has to be a respect for that hierarchy. And I know you're being an educator, there's a top person, but everybody has to answer to somebody.
Yes,
the
ma'am.
mayor has to answer to the citizens, whether they agree or disagree with the mayor. But my format is following the guidelines of the mayor and living up to the oath that I took. That's your job description. That's the best way to manage your job.
Yes, ma'am. And you're leading into the next question I wanted to ask you. What are some of the key attributes that you know that it takes to be the mayor?
Well, I'll go back to an analogy. If you know me, I talk in analogies. You remember that old classic, The Wizard of Oz?
Yes, ma'am.
And one of the characters said that is the true testament of love is not how much you love, but how much you are loved by others. And I believe that's what propels you onward and upward. If you have in your own life exemplified characteristics enough that people believed in you to elect you to do a job, it is because you were loved by enough people or cared about by enough people to get you there. And sustain yourself there, you have to remember how you got there.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me tell you a funny story. When I was on the campaign trail, I had masks made with Vote Betty-Alford and with my number on it. And every day that I went in Walmart, I would say, hello, how you doing, to the greeter, to the stalker, to everybody that I encountered in Walmart. And one day I walked in and I saw a lady that greeted me. And I said, hi, I said, I'm asking for your support in this election. And she said, yes, ma'am, but turn your mask right side up. So you have a little humor, but you have enough love in your heart
right.
to care about people.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And before we let you go, we always ask all our guests this question. And,
Okay.
And we specifically want to know from you, from your qualitative perspective, what does Mayor Betty-Alford think or know what it's going to take to bring this city? Finish the statement.
It's going to take unity and working in a collaborative effort to bring the city back. Find appreciation in every single day, something good. There's something good that happens, even in the worst of circumstances. What I saw this summer with the ministers coming together, it emerged from a pandemic of folks being closed up in their homes and children being closed off from their schoolmates because they had to do the virtual learning and however they did it with the school system. It brought forth a unity. Let's come together. That's what it's going to take. Let's believe in each other. Let's support each other.
Yes.
I'm so proud of every single business owner in this town because they provide goods and services. Let's support them. Let's support each other. Let's support our neighbor. Let's support our own family. If we serve on a board, let's work for the common good and the cause for which we were placed there. Channel our energy in the right direction to pull forward. Whether it's a hospital board, whether it's a police jury or a school board or a council board or the board of ARC, or whether it's a national board, let's stick to the course.
Yes, ma'am. And that was beautifully spoken. And people, I want you to know this. I'm not a politician. I don't politic. I try not to play no games. But you don't have to support Mayor Olive to support the city. She just said it out of her own mouth. So what we need to do, find your niche. It may not be with economical growth. It may not be with the school system. It may not be with the city council. But find your niche where you can aid and help this city and do your part. Your opinion is your opinion. No one is taking that from you. But we can delegate and we can speak our minds in a way that we still can aid the city without corrupting it. And Mayor Olive,
yes, sir.
We appreciate you stopping through, and God knows that I know I'm proud of you for being the first female black mayor. And if people know this parish, that's a feat you accomplished. That showed this town and came a long way. A long way. I mean, and I'm just 45 years old, and because I'm a historian, I know this city has come a long way, y'all, and we are turning it the opposite way. But Mayor Oliver, before you go,
yes,
any
sir.
last words to the constituents of the city of Bastrop?
Yes, it is. Let's work together to make Bastrop better. We can do it. We are headed in a direction. We're getting noticed from our political people on the national level as well on the local level. Let's stay the course. Let's stop fighting each other and let's pull together for the common good to make our city and our parish the best that it can be.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And like I say before, we want to give you your flowers, and we want you to know that when you go back and look at your post, it's going to say Immerse Wall of Fame selection, because we are putting you on our Wall of Fame selection. You're a pioneer. You're the first black female in Morehouse Parish. If you go do your research, y'all may have, and some of y'all know better, that this woman that did something in this town. We was the last one to do a lot of things when it comes to equal rights, y'all. So do your history. She didn't accomplish something that we got to give you your flowers today. And that's what we want to do here, Immerse 360.
Thank you so much. And please know that I am humbled and honored by that. And I constantly want to live up to that standard of what you just said. That means a lot to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the work that you do as well in the community. I know you are part of the movement for the Boys and Girls Club.
Yes, ma'am.
And I appreciate you. And I called you one day and remember that conversation we had?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm proud of you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
And Miss Olive, if there's anything that we can do here at eMERGE 360 to aid you in your endeavors, don't hesitate to call now that we connected. We here, and me and my constituents, we want to help. And any way we can help, we will. Just let us know.
I will. I got you saved. It's speed dial on my phone.
Okay. I'm going to close the show out. You stay on the line because I want to get some more information from you after I close out the show. So you just stay on the line. Let me close it out. Hey, we want to thank y'all for tuning in. We was with the city official sitting at the desk with our own mayor, Miss Betty-Alford Olive. We want to thank you once again for tuning in for this Power Wednesday. This is being brought to you by Involved Social and Civic Club, where we understand the social and civic needs of love, learn, live, and laugh. Until next time, y'all stay involved. Y'all be encouraged. And most of all, y'all stay immersed. We out of this thing.
Head to the sky. I know you thought it was gone, but I made it through the fire. Turned your back on me, homie, and it was such a surprise. But the struggle out here, everybody just trying to get by. Mama told me a long time ago, keep my grass cut low, so I can see these snakes when they approaching my door. In this game, I seen a lot of soldiers sell their soul for the bag. And I seen a lot of close friends fall out behind ass. That's why I keep my circle tight, family over